And welcome back to my YouTube channel. As some of you might know, I posted some stuff on Facebook and Instagram asking people to send me questions so I could shoot a Q&A video, and a bunch of you sent me questions and I wrote them all down right here. So let's get into this and I will try to answer at least a few of the questions. There's quite a few of them, but I'll probably make some Q&A videos later on too, so I'll cover just a few of the questions today. So the first question that I get asked a whole bunch, my daughter actually said this, was because she's with me all the time, so she hears this kind of stuff. People always ask, are you the skate park guy? So anyone that saw the video I uploaded yesterday talks about the Southbridge Skate Park project. That is what people mean when they ask, am I the skate park guy? The answer is yes, I am the skate park guy. The skate park project is much bigger than me. There are a lot of people involved in making that project happen, but I guess I am what everyone's calling the skate park guy because the whole project was a vision I had. So the next question is, and I kind of like these kind of questions because they're outside of BMX, which is kind of what I was asking of people when I put it out there. So probably the most common question I get asked would be, how many tattoos do I have? So anybody that has tattoos like I have, the answer is usually one. It's all one big tattoo. Obviously it's not one big tattoo, but I don't know anyone that keeps track of all their tattoos. And so I thought about it, and the best way to answer that would be, I have gone for about 135 tattoo sessions. So I guess 135. Next question. How many years have I been riding BMX? I would say 30 years. I started in 1986 doing tricks on my 20-inch BMX bike, and a few years later, got a little more serious about it, which I'll talk about in another one of the questions, but 30 years I've been doing bike tricks. Let me see. Here's another one that people ask a lot. How many bones have I broken? A few people ask that question, but they ask like how many surgeries have I had, how many concussions, how many times have I been knocked out, how many stitches and staples, that kind of stuff. So I will try to answer that all as one question. So the total number of bones I have broken is 40 bones. I know it seems like a lot, but what would happen is sometimes I would break a bone and then I would start riding my bike again a lot quicker than what the doctors recommended, which I no longer recommend. But sometimes you would re-injure the previous broken bone, so they kind of stacked up quick. And let me see, surgeries, I have to go through old paperwork, but I've had quite a few surgeries. Had my rotator cuff completely rebuilt. It was 85% torn, so they had to go in and tear it the rest of the way and rebuild it all. I've had knee scopes, and I would really have to go through old paperwork because I really don't know how many, but quite a few surgeries. Stitches and staples, I would say hundreds of them. Concussions, over 100. And knockouts, I thought about this. I think I have truly been knocked out 3 times in my career. Definitely times where I was knocked loopy, but completely knocked out, like get me a pillow, time for bed, 3 times. Let me see. Worst crash and injury. Okay, that sort of goes with the other question. Let me see. I don't think those two things are the same, because there have been crashes that were worse, but the injury wasn't as bad. So I'll start with the worst injury was probably when I put my handlebars, about 6 or 8 inches of them, the entire grip part of my handlebars, through my armpit and almost out my back. Took out a main artery to my lung. I lost 3 pints of blood. I was rushed to a hospital and spent the day in a trauma unit. So that was definitely the worst injury, at least scariest for my family. Let me see. Best and worst memories of tour. Probably the best memory I always think about a tour was the first time I got to go to California, and I got to live there for a month because we were doing shows in the southern part of California. So I got to live in La Jolla, and being from Massachusetts, we have winters here. They don't really have winter there, so I believe it was winter here in Massachusetts when I was out there. So I was super excited to be somewhere where I could ride my bike during those months, and that memory has stuck with me as one of the highlights of my tour memories. I'll probably do a video later all about tours and stuff like that. Worst memory, I'd say the worst part about tours is the constant travel. Back then, the schedules weren't as good as they are now. BMX wasn't as popular, so when they booked shows, you just took whatever shows were available. So sometimes the drives were really long in between shows, and you didn't get a lot of sleep. You had to stay in a vehicle. Didn't always have time to get hotels. Definitely didn't get to eat as healthy and as much as we'd like to. So now it would be much better. The sport has grown now, where there's a lot more money involved in stuff like touring. So where do I live? I just said Massachusetts. Let me see. I wrote these down really messy. First, BMX sponsors. Okay. My first sponsor was my uncle's bike shop, but first brand sponsor was Redline Bikes. I don't want to get into all the details of that, but I left Redline Bikes and ended up going with Hoffman Bikes. Hoffman Bikes was brand new at the time, and they sent me bikes for many, many years. I also rode for Vans Shoes. That was actually my first tour I ever did. With Dan Hubbard and the Vans stunt team. I actually was brought out to replace Rooftop, Mike Escamilla, which was very cool. That was actually another highlight of my career because Vans were the shoes I wore as a kid and loved them, and Rooftop was somebody I saw in the magazines and actually thought was really cool. So to go on tour for Vans and to replace Mike was actually very surreal to me at the time. Very cool. Play Clothing, owned by Hal Bridley in North Carolina. They sent us all of our clothes anytime we went on tour. We did a lot of East Coast tours where we would pass through that area and stay at or near the Playhouse for a couple days and hang out. They made a lot of our jerseys for shows. Hal custom made us shirts to wear in the shows. I was on tour for Vans with a rollerblader. Rollerblading was huge at the time, and he had a sponsor called Street Rage, owned by this woman named Maria in California, and she was one of the first companies I knew about that made padded shorts and pants with like hip and tailbone pads, and she hooked me up for many years. Super cool brand. I'm not sure if they still exist, but here we go. Let me see. If I didn't ride BMX, what would I do? I would say that if I had never gotten into BMX 30 years ago, I would probably do real estate, meaning I would buy houses, fix them up, flip them. I've always been interested in doing that type of thing. I still might do that type of thing later on in life. So that's what I would do if I had never rode BMX. If I couldn't ride BMX anymore right now, I would probably do exactly what I'm doing. Something with like a YouTube channel, that type of thing. Let me see. Greatest achievement in life would be being a father to my daughter Sierra. That is super simple. Lots of achievements in BMX. Like I said, I'll make other videos and stuff, but later talking about more, more detailed stuff about tours and achievements and stuff. But that is probably my greatest achievement in life. Here's a cool question from Tyler LaValle. He's a local rider around here. He was like one of the first people that actually sent me a question. So thank you, Tyler. Super cool. I told him to be creative, and he asked me if there was one trick. What he probably means is like a really hard trick that I really, really wanted to learn, and it took me a while, and I finally learned it. That trick is a double bar spin, and for anyone who remembers the 90s, bikes were a lot heavier and everything was very different. So double bar spins were pretty much you jumped, you threw the bars, and you caught them at however many times you wanted them to go around. So doubles were really hard, and It was kind of like looking into a helicopter blade when they were spinning. And I actually learned it on a really big box jump. I was doing shows for Northeast Trick Stars up in New Hampshire, staying at their house. They would set up the box jumps on the days we had off, and they actually had 2 box jumps set up, a small one to a big one, and I would have to jump the small one to get the speed, and then hit the big one. It was 6 feet tall with a 10-foot deck, which made it a lot scarier to do. That was the first time I ever landed the double bar spin. I went on to do it maybe a handful of times in my career in shows, and I've done it a few other times just riding for fun, but it wasn't a trick I did all the time because I have definitely taken some hard slams on that trick. Let me see. Another local rider, Kagan Albrizio, he asked me who got me into BMX, what was my first bike, what brand was it, and what does it say? First team I traveled with. Okay, so who got me into BMX? I started doing bike tricks on my own, not really sure why, in like 86. Then in 1989, my uncle was a retired pro BMX rider, and he got me into BMX more seriously. First bike brand back in 86, the bike I had was made by Sharp. They also make like microwaves and appliances. It had like the white wheel covers on it. It was neon green, and I think it was like a generic copy of like a Haro Freestyler or something like that. But then when my uncle got me into BMX more seriously, I had a GT Performer that he had built for me. First team I traveled with, I would say actually traveled would be the Vans tour. I was a teenager, and I got offered the tour to, like I said, replace Rooftop, and that was my first real. They flew me down to North Carolina because they were already on tour, and that was my first time away from home actually traveling. Okay, let me do one more question for today. My favorite skate park. 2 or 3 people ask me this. What is my favorite place to ride? Because I always tell people at the skate park that I've ridden like tons of skate parks, and my favorite park has changed over the years because I've been to a lot of skate parks in 30 years. But right now, my favorite place to ride is the Southbridge Skate Park. And it is my local skate park, and for many reasons, it is my favorite. So that is hands down. I can think of a lot of amazing parks all over America that I've been to, but Southbridge Skate Park is definitely my favorite place to go ride. I like the people there. I like the ramp setup. It's close to my house, so yeah, Southbridge Skate Park. There's a bunch more questions, but I guess I will end it there today, and I hope you guys like this Q&A. Please, if you have any other questions, definitely send those to me, and I will continue doing Q&As as much as I can. As long as I have enough questions to answer, I will do Q&As like this. That being said, definitely subscribe to my channel, hit the like button on these videos, leave comments in the comment section. Let me know if you like the video, if you have any ideas, anything you think I should do to change the videos or add to them, and if you have any, like I said, ideas for other types of videos, I am open to your feedback. So that being said, once again, I hope you guys are having an amazing day, and thank you for watching this video, and I will see you guys next time.